Okay, hi everybody. In this video, we're going to look at microcomposition, so what it is and some of the things you can do in that stage in your production. So what microcomposition is it's all the little things that you do in your track which turn your track from a series of loops into an interesting and varied and changing piece. You know, you could have the best 8-bar loop in the world, but if it repeats exactly the same 10 times, your listener's going to get bored. So what I'm using for this video is this little example that I've got here. So let's just have a quick listen to it. So I've got, plenty of instruments there. I've got a clear idea of where these are going to be used in my structure as well. So for instance, this lead, that's only going to get used in the chorus. Some of the other parts are going to be more apparent in the verses, etc., etc. So I've got a different alternative here. So I've got that 16-bar loop. I've then structured this out just by copying and deleting some bits. So for instance, in verse 2, it starts without the piano, just with the 808s and the drums and this synth. Whereas at the start of verse 1, it has the piano, but no 808s, the 808s coming halfway through. And then in verse 2, the 808s are there all the way through. The choruses, they've both got everything. And I've got this something different section here. Now, the way that I've structured this out, I've used the global tracks to add the markers, and I've just gone for a typical intro, verse, chorus, something different, /middle 8, /breakdown, and then a double chorus to finish. So nothing particularly groundbreaking there, but this is what majority of music uses. So having a structured template like that is always a good idea. It just gives you something to go for straight away. What I'm going to do now is play this arrangement. And you can probably see it. It doesn't vary much. Everything's just directly copied. If you want to skip further in the video, if you know what I'm getting at here, then this track's about 4 minutes long. Skip about 4 minutes into the video. You'll see a new project alternative and there'll be lots of pink in it. So I'm going to play this through. We're then going to compare that to the next version where things change. So yeah, if you want to skip on, it's about 4 minutes. Okay, now stop it there. I'm sure you get the idea. I don't want the video to be too long. So there's nothing particularly wrong with that. It's just a little bit too repetitive. You know, it has got changes. It's got things coming in and out in each section. But everything's just the same loop. And it's the same copies and all the rest of it. And it's just not as interesting as it could be. So to put this into a bit of context, basically this weekend, this has been kind of my thing that I've been doing. It maybe took me about 5 or 6 hours to get the instruments together, that first 16 bar loop. I've then spent the best part of 20 hours on the micro composition. So I'll go through a few of the examples of what I've been doing. But basically what you want to spot for, just initially looking at this project, everything that I've made pink is part of the micro composition. So for instance, if we look across the drum uppers, you can see that a good probably 50% of them, apart from the choruses, are pink. That means they've been changed. Same with the 808s, you know, majority through the verses. A lot of them have been changed. All of these tracks where the actual track colour is pink, they're little moments, such as the uprises and the downfallers, that are creating, you know, transition changes, little rising effects and everything into each section. And then we'll see that my pianos and the synth pad are largely unchanged, because they're not the sort of most significant features. They can just sit there repeating the same thing. So let's go through a few of the examples of what I've done here. So let's just take the intro, these uppers, for instance. What I've done in these, if we compare this to an original version there, I've just muted a few notes and taken out the claps. So these are my claps here. So that as it starts, get this little drum fill. A little stop there just to lead into the next section. And we'll have some development here. We'll have the claps coming in. Subtle variations there. So we've got them little stops on the third and fourth beats. We've got a slightly different kick rhythm there. I've made all my instruments stop at the end here, so I've snipped a note out of that one. And I've also used a reversed crash just to bring in that next section. So you can hear through all that verse as well, I've changed the actual notes that the 808s are playing. So instead of it doing that same one every time and getting fed up of the little melodic ideas that are in there, we've got these little changes in the 808. So the first time round, it does that little melodic idea. Second time, it's a little bit different. A little different rhythm there. So subtly different rhythms and notes all the way through that. Little kick rhythms that join in with the 808s as well. And here I've got quite a nice little moment that's happening between a few different instruments. So that one should be yellow, pink as well, sorry. So I've got a little drum fill in my uppers. With a stop on the 1 there. This kick here, I've got a reversed kick, so if you listen to the kick on its own. Kicking the 808s together, what happens there? So that little reverse just swooshes it into the next bar. Where there's a stop in my uppers, a stop in the 808s, there's no kick drum. And what I do have there is one little bounce of the piano, and I've used the vinyl slow stop technique. You can find that video on my channel, just to create. So all them instruments work together just to create a nice little moment there at the end of an 8-bar chunk. So let's listen to that again. So all the instruments really working together, talking to each other, just to create that little moment. In the choruses themselves, I've kind of left it. You know, I've used my original loop, although I've just made a slight change there. Again, sort of doing a stop halfway through the chorus. Let's just listen to that. And then I've got my downfaller here that's going to bring us out of the chorus, back into the verse. And again here in the verse, I've really changed the 808s, keeping them a bit more subdued, not doing that big sort of melodic idea every time. Because in this section, it's just the 808s, the uppers, the kicks, and this synth, the synth pad. I've also got some development in the uppers there as well, so at the start they haven't got as many of the shakers and the hi-hats in, and then they come back in here. And again here I've used the vinyl slow stop technique, but I've used it reversed, so it's actually pitching in. So what I've done there, I've just taken a bounce in place. Again, you can find that video on my channel. I've bounced in place this single 808 hit. I've pitched it up by 12 semitones, so an octave. And I've then used that vinyl speed up just to create a little sub sort of swell. Little hi-hat moments there with the pitched hi-hats just to bring in this next bit. Dropping the kick on that first one, so missing that kick. Then we've got that sample roll. Again, that's in the Alchemy and sample roll video on my channel. And I've combined that just with a clap sound. It's got some space designer, some reverb delay on there. So that just creates a nice little punctuation as we head into that section. And again, this chorus largely unchanged at the minute. I'll probably do a little stop in the middle, a couple of little moments like that. The Something Different section is currently a cheesy piano solo. My intention was to make this sound like the piano had been sampled from this section. So I need to do a little bit more work on there, change the chords around a little bit, make it a longer sample. And then again, heading back into this chorus, I've got a reversed kick just to lead it in. Probably have something else there, maybe a reversed crash or cymbal. Again, not too much happening here in this chorus. Again, I've still got quite a bit of work to do on this, but I have done a stop halfway through with a little sub swell as well. So I've not pitched this one. It's just fading in instead of using the slow stop. So we get this. It just makes like a sustained bass note there. And the uppers stop as well. So just creating little moments of breath in your track. And that's what micro-composition is. So what I'm going to do is play this all the way through, so you get comparison of what it was before and what it is after. Also, just one last thing I've done is that, this was a 16-bar loop previously, and the chords, so for instance in the chorus, the chords change halfway through. The 808s move up to a slightly different note within that same key. Whereas what I've done in the verses, I've actually just focused on the first half, where it stays on the minor chord and doesn't change to any of the major chords. So I'll leave this on for you to have a listen all the way through and see the difference from before and afterwards. Okay, so hopefully there's plenty you can take from that. And if you're already at the position where you can quite happily and easily get a 8 or a 16 bar idea out in, an hour or so, then this is really the sort of detail you want to be aiming for. And as I've said, there's still more for me to do. These chorus sections, they need changing. They need plenty to happen in them. There's still some moments where I can have some little risers, some additional uprisers and downfallers and things like that. And really, the more detail you go into with this, the better your piece is going to sound. Enjoy.